Still working on the BBISHOPPCM computer fleet. So from left to right we've got, of course, the Apple IIc, the Mac Pro, the Mac Pro, the Mac Pro, MacBook Pro, Tandy. The problem is the Tandy, which was a project that I started a couple of years ago when I happened to find, a nice little 46 desktop. It was supposed to be my multimedia computer from the 90s. And what I've quickly learned is that I picked a machine from a little bit too far in the early side of the 90s to really do what I set out to do. So what I was really looking for at the time was a white box special. The type of computer that you go down to your local computer store and have custom built with whatever accessories and components you chose. That business started booming in the early 90s and died away in the mid-2000s. I'd say the business was pretty much flat. And now, to find a shop that'll build a custom computer for you is pretty much not going to happen. There are a few left. There's actually, would have been like 75 or 100 computer shops in my area. I call my area southern New Hampshire, basically. They were everywhere. These little shops would pop up. They'd build anything you wanted. Some were good, some were bad. Some used high quality parts, some didn't. And as of right now, there's about 2 left. I'll actually tell you who they are. A&D Computer in Milford, New Hampshire, and Showtime Computers in Hudson, New Hampshire. And the organization that I currently work for, when I started there in 2006, we were buying them from a company called PC Authority out of Manchester, New Hampshire. And we would tell them what we wanted, and they would build it. We'd order, 50, 100, 200 machines at once. They'd build them up for us, and we'd go pick them up. Nowadays, we're buying Chromebooks, Macs, nothing customizable. But as computers became more and more compact and less expensive, and the margin of the profit margins all but vanished, and only the biggest of the biggest companies survived, those little shops have gone by the wayside. So when I went over to Sabres to drop off some stuff today, I picked something up that I didn't expect to. In any other circumstances, on any other day, I would never pay money for one of these. Now, what I really wanted, though, when I started my little multimedia endeavor, was I wanted an actual vintage Pentium, like a Pentium, pre-Pentium 2. Something in the high 46, low Pentium range. And I found exactly what I was looking for. It just showed up, and it was between this and a beat-up PowerBook 160. I almost bought the 160, but they wanted too much for it. It was in really bad shape, and I'm like not going to gamble that kind of money on a piece of crap. But 99 cents I paid for this. Here's living proof. 99 cents. They charged me $1 to take away what is essentially e-waste. I could have bought the 17-inch Mag Innovision that came with it for another 99 cents, but I wasn't going to do that. So what we have here is one of the more conservatively styled white box cases. There were many computer case manufacturers, and a lot of the local companies use the less expensive ones, and this is one of those cases. But what really piqued my attention, let's see if some of you younger kids can see what I see. What looks odd about the back of this machine? What do you see that you don't typically see these days? I'll just tell you. This is an AT case. AT cases are almost impossible to find. They really are, because the AT form factor or architecture went away in the ATX started coming on the scene in around 96 or 97. And I want to say 97. So anything built prior to 1997, there's a good chance it'll be an AT system. The AT form factor dates way back to the original IBM PC, loosely. But the ATs, actually, no, it would date back to the original IBM AT. The PC XT and the PC AT, or the, I forget what it was actually called, but nevertheless, the AT form factor is one of the oldest form factors, or I don't know if it was a form factor or architecture, one of the two. But it was one of the oldest in the industry. ATX took over, which gave motherboard manufacturers more flexibility in how their boards were packaged and how the connectors were laid out. It also improved system-wide cooling. It improved the delivery of power. The ATX form factor gave us the soft switch power supplies, meaning you press a switch, which basically is a momentary contact switch, and it just lights the board right up, boom, up and going. Back in the AT days, the power switch cut power directly on and off of the power supply itself. There are other, the board layouts were completely different. Let's take a look inside this AT. Pop the case off. See if I can find a manufacturer's mark on the back. This was made January 7th, 1997. So this is one of the last of the AT systems. After 97, you just didn't see them anymore. They pretty much stopped making them. Which is surprising that this is not a... I just saw something that made me laugh. This is not a system that would have... I lost my train of thought. I'll tell you why. The power supply is an FU200. This is a Fortrex power supply. It's a brand I've never heard of. Anyway, so we are missing a hard drive. I didn't notice that until just now. I was hoping it would have a drive in it, so I won't have to search high and low for some board drivers. Oh wait, I just noticed on the bottom it tells me what it actually is. So this has an Asus motherboard. Let's see if that's still the case. A lot of times these systems were rebuilt many times over before they were scrapped. But it still has the original Asus board. I might have a fighting chance of getting drivers, because a lot of the no-name boards are very hard to get drivers for. But yeah, it's still got the Asus board in it. It's got the original Intel CPU cooler. These were long-lasting coolers. They almost never fail. Let's see. What do we have for a processor? It had a 4.3 gig hard drive, a 33.6 Zoom modem, Windows 95, a 20X CD-ROM that has been replaced with a circa 2001 CD burner. This is a Sony burner. Those were actually pretty good quality drives when they were new. 4 megabytes of video memory, 32 megabytes of EDO RAM, and it had, as I suspected, a Pentium MMX 166 processor. Sorry, I was kind of going to show that to you guys. I'm not familiar with the builder. PC Warehouse. I've heard of them before. I'm just not that familiar. So I have some fairly old drives I can pop into this baby. I know I saved a few of the older. It still has the protective coating on the badge. PC Warehouse. I think they were local to this area. I vaguely remember seeing their name in the yellow pages. So we've got a genuine Sound Blaster 16-bit. It's using one of the 16-bit ISA slots. We've got the original Zoom modem. Zoom was one of the bigger modem manufacturers at the time. It was fitted with a wireless card. This is coming out, by the way. But this is one of the oldest cards, I think. Oops, pick that up. There, let's pull this out. I'm just going to yank it. I'm not going to bother getting wireless on it. But this is, yeah, this is an old wireless B 2.4. It's got a bent antenna connector. Not even going to bother setting that up. I'm going to get that screw out of the case before I forget. It has a coin cell battery. One of the things you got to watch out for on some of the older AT systems, they'll have a, usually manufactured by Varda. It's a stack of coins that are banded together with a shrink tube, and they're soldered directly to the board, and they always leak and destroy the board. Coin cells, these CR2032s, I've seen very few of them actually leak. I think I might have seen one. And here's something unusual. This board, a lot of the later AT boards had this feature, but they could actually accept an ATX power supply. And this is one of those boards. But this won't natively fit in an ATX case, at least without some major modifications. So one of the reasons that manufacturers eventually ditched these, the ATX form factor, is because they started to build boards that were more integrated. They had integrated video, integrated audio, integrated Ethernet. And on the old AT cases, you had to add ports with knockout plugs. Remember, when the IBM PC was first built, the motherboard had no built-in ports or interfaces. You had a hard drive interface, a floppy drive interface in some cases. You had a video card. You had a modem. You had a hard drive controller. I think I mentioned that earlier. Yeah, maybe I did. Some of those boards were multi-function boards, like you could find a parallel and a serial board in one. But back then, that's just how it was done. As clone builders started hitting the scene, they started using boards that had built-in interfaces. And they would require a header to be plugged in, such as this parallel port header. And this is our serial port header. Some of them were mounted in backplane covers, and some of them would use the built-in case knockouts. In this particular instance, we have two DB9 or DB15 knockouts, and we have one DB25 knockout. But yeah, this was the end of an era. Let's see if this fan still spins. Not very well. Yeah, that fan's going to be bad. I think I can resurrect it. I'm going to have to clean it. Oh, I'm not getting it on the camera. This fan is not doing so hot. I've got to clean that before. Let's do that before we power this sucker on. I'm going to just unplug the power cables to that, and this just clips right on like that. Look at the way that dust is built up. It's like built into the fins. Look at that shit. It's not good. But these fans, I can tell you, I've never seen one go bad. The genuine Intel fans never went bad. The ones that I saw. Okay, it's in good shape. Yeah, it's spinning just fine. Now that I got all that dust out of there. Let's take a look at this Intel 166 processor. It's in a zero insertion force socket. I mean, it's a socket 7 board. But this is what they look like. This is how they were packaged. This is an enormous ceramic package. Careful not to bend the pins. But yeah, that should be a can't really tell what the speed is. It should be on the back somewhere. It's coded in here somewhere, but the actual speed of the chip. Yeah, it's better than it was. All right, but yeah, the genuine Intel heat sinks were bonded to the chips. Made it easier for the system builder, because they didn't have to buy their own separate heat sinks and fans. So yeah, a lot of times these systems were fitted with, especially during the Pentium 2 generation, But they were fitted with low-end cooling fans, and those fans would only last maybe a year or 2 to 3 years, and that's it. And then they would start rattling and making all kinds of noise. On one computer that I had, it was my first Pentium 3. I think I went through 2 or 3 freaking fans on that thing before I finally sold it. So, we got the fan cleaned up with Q-tips. I don't want to fire up my air compressor. It's getting late, and I don't want to piss off my neighbors. So, I just cleaned it with a Q-tip. This computer really isn't that dirty, and if it's really... I might end up bringing it to work, where I have an air compressor set up all the time, and just clean it up there. I still haven't powered this machine on, so I don't know what it will do. I'm going to have to dig up a hard drive for my bin, an old enough drive that'll realistically work in such an old machine. But I'm elated to find out that it has an Asus board in it. That's a good thing, because a lot of times, like I said before, these can have any range of quality of components. I mean, no-name graphics cards, no-name logic boards, like the old ECS Elite Group boards were terrible. And getting drivers for those things was just not happening. One of the things I like about these older machines is that they don't have the capacitor problems that the newer ones did. These have higher quality capacitors that don't really go bad that frequently. They do go bad, but not as readily as some of those cheaper ones that they started using later on. This one actually has fan headers too. It's got a case fan, it's got a CPU fan header, and yet they used the system power supply. But it's a fixed speed fan, so I guess it doesn't matter. You can tell because it only has 2 pins. Look at that. So this is a single speed fan, so it doesn't really matter. But yeah, this board's got integrated hard drive controller, or IDE controller. It's got a built-in parallel serial. And looks like it's got 2 serial ports. We've got both a 25 and a 9-pin. I'm going to write down the model numbers of all these components while it's all apart. So I'm going to do that right now. Oh, I got this at a trade show, Lenovo. It's only natural that I became Lenovo certified, you know. I stole all the shit they had at their booth, so it's like, yeah. Hey, at least I'm a customer, okay? It's an Asus TXP4. I can't write with one hand, damn it. Well, I know how that sounds. Yeah, I can write with one hand, duh, but I'm trying to hold the stack down. I don't suppose I need to write Asus because I know that. TXP4. Any other numbers on this board that I need to know? Okay, I do need to know that is a Diamond. Oh, I had a driver for that somewhere. Yeah, it's a Diamond Stealth 3D 2000. You know, it's a shame that Diamond was one of the first MP3 players on the market. They had the Diamond Rio, which I think was turned into another product line for somebody else. And so they were like the first on the block with a viable commercial MP3 player. Unfortunately for them, Apple stole their thunder. And that was totally unexpected. Nobody thought Apple was going to succeed. Really, I mean, at the time, Apple was really the black sheep. They were like the ugly neighbor kid, you know, who really didn't do well in school, but you know, managed to scrape by because a couple of people, you know, helped out that kid along the way, mentored the kid, and, you know, made sure that the kid didn't go too far off the trail. and then all of a sudden Apple became what it is today, a monster. Yeah, that happens. Is that all I need to know? Let's see, I got the SEC ID. And the hardest one is going to be this sound card. For some reason, Creative Labs drivers are so hard to find these days. I think they took down some of their archives, actually. But yeah, it's got memory slots. I don't remember why. Oh, wait a minute. Yeah, this is one of the fancy ones. It's an AWE. Wow. Is that listed on the build sheet? It doesn't say. Yeah, SB32, so that is original to this machine. Unbelievable. Yeah, it's an AW32. CT3670. So these cards, I want to show you something. It has an IDE interface. And you're wondering, why does it have an IDE interface? I'll tell you. These cards were often sold with a Creative Labs CD-ROM drive. And back then, rather than, and Creative Labs had the, the foresight to realize that there is only a short number of, a small number of available IDE ports in these older systems. Well, they weren't old then, but you get the point. So there really weren't that many, IDE ports on these. You only had 4. Usually you had 2 IDE controllers, IDE 1, IDE 2, or 0 and 1, and each one could support 2 drives. Well, if you were building a monster multimedia powerhouse with a full-size tower case, if you didn't have a SCSI chain in there, you were using up all your IDE ports for, hard drives and whatnot. So Creative Labs built their cards with an integrated IDE interface. They're not the only one to do that. Actually, a lot of the lesser-known brands did the same damn thing. And the problem with these is they almost never work very well. I mean, I've been working on PCs like this one since 1996. I have been working on computers that long. And I was in 96, I wasn't like a pro or anything, but I was still learning. The problem that I found is in my neighborhood. Now, this was before the internet was as usable as it is now. Back in those days, people would often throw their computers away, and people like my neighbors would find them and try to fix them up for themselves. I lived in a fairly less affluent, I'll say, neighborhood. So all of my neighbors and friends, they had junk computers that they were either given away, or they bought back when there were classified ads. They'd buy them on classified ads, like the one ads, and they would never get the drivers. They would get their machines and they would never get the drivers, and then come to me and say, I need this thing fixed. What can you do? I never had any real luck getting these working because I never had the drivers for the fucking things. I could get the sound card drivers, but I never got the IDE interfaces to work. And they would only work with certain drives. So if the drive had been replaced at some point, it would never work. Or if the drive was bad, I'd go buy one with their money, and it wouldn't work. So I never bothered getting those damn things working because they never did. Alright, let's get a hard drive. Alright, so got a hard drive. Found a 10 gig Mac store from 1999 actually. 21 December 99. So we're going to have to pull out the drive cage. And on this case... Oh, I don't have to do that. Actually, it's done a little bit differently. These screws are accessible from the other side. So I want to make sure that this is set to... Looks like on this one it shares a chain with the CD drive. And wait a minute. What's in that drive bay? Ooh, wait a minute. I already have a drive in it. Looks like it does. What do we got? Oh yeah, there's a drive in there. Holy shit. It's got a Quantum Bigfoot in there. Presumably a 4 GB Quantum Bigfoot. So I don't need to install a drive. It's probably all ready to go. How sweet is that? Now the Quantum Bigfoot drive, I'm glad that was in here because we don't get to see a lot of those anymore. They didn't really last. they were just a very slow drive. It's surprising that the owner of this machine didn't pull it out of frustration. Let's take a look. Those Bigfoot drives, man oh man, those were slow. Compaq used those as OEM equipment in the Presario line. And I think the idea was they were big and cheap. They were big, slow, and cheap. They were like Toyota Avalons. They weren't the most reliable from what I remember. I just know they were terrible drives. I hated them. Because every machine I had that had one was just a slow piece of shit. But there we are. The original Quantum Bigfoot. So this machine, this is unusual. I usually find these with major component replacement. Well, I mean, this one's had an optical drive replacement, but look at that. That's a 5 1/4 inch. I believe they were single platter. 5 1/4 inch. They were cheap to make, cheap to buy, cheap to own. And they were slow as hell. Made in Japan. Manufactured, or installed at least, on May 7th of 97. Requires M3 mounting screws. Yeah, that was I believe that was a full 5 1/4 inch platter in there. From about here to about here. Something like that. Yeah, just about. Amazing. I had to dig out my serial mouse for this one. But luckily my keyboard has it's a dual mode. It'll do PS2 or 5-pin DIN. No PS2 ports on this baby. Although I bet the motherboard has a built-in header for it. It's not currently hooked up. Here we go. Yeah. So far no video. That's a good sign. It should have posted by now. That's a great sign. So far it's not posting. I do have a monitor hooked up. Oops. Maybe that might be why. Something was loose in there. So far nothing. I mean, it's simply not posting. Give it a second. Actually, I think I might have killed it. See, that screw that I left in there, yeah, I forgot to dump it out of the case. Oops. See, I forgot it was there. This is what happens when you do like a million things at once. So, I came up here to get the drive, and I started working on my next video, which is almost, oh, it's already saved. Good, awesome. And I took a shower, watched a TV show, went back to this, and the rest is history. So I think I might have killed it. That screw is probably laying on the board, and dagnabbit. There are no error codes, nothing crazy like that, and the keyboard does light up all 3 lights. That's a good sign. So I just reseated all the memory, and we're going to try it again. getting any error codes or beeping or anything at all. Display should be kicking in. Nothing's happening. CPU fan spinning. No error codes. No beeping. Nothing. No disk access attempts. No keyboard response. Nothing. I hold on some keys. Nothing. Alright, we gotta strip the system down. We gotta pull parts out until it runs. I found the problem. It turns out at some point somebody took the processor out and forgot to lock it back in place. Yeah, you know, I think my mind is slipping. You know, I'm starting to wonder. I think my mind is like, I don't know. Whatever. Kind of like when my dad, who was like a master mechanic for many years, he does stupid things every once in a while. But I did it twice on the same goddamn machine. Here we go. What do we got? Let's see what we got. Show me some good stuff. Alright. I'm going to hit pause. Scroll lock. There you are. Alright, it's an MMX 200. That explains the, it's got 98 megs of RAM, so it's been upgraded. Now, I thought it was a 166, but it's a 200. Quantum Bigfoot, everything is being detected. Press Delta, enter setup. Standard, let's just save and exit. This is, looks like an award BIOS. Is that what it is? Yeah, award, yep. Yeah, everything is detected. Secondary slave, none. Okay, good. Windows 98, so it has been upgraded to Windows 98. Listen to that hard drive. Very raspy sound. Forgot those old Quantums had their own LEDs built right in. Don't know why. PC Warehouse. Where have I heard that name before? PC Warehouse is in Plastow, New Hampshire. At least it used to be. They're still in business. They're still in business. Plastow Custom PC. I think that's, that must be them. Maybe not. PC Warehouse, Plastow, New Hampshire. I mean, look at this review from 2005. So maybe they're not in business anymore. Okay, well that was fun. There we go. should plug in the speakers. See if those that sound card still works. I paid $1 for this, guys. That is actually, no, I'm serious. That is the lowest amount of money I have ever paid for any computer ever. I mean, a little dirty. $1. I've never paid that little for a computer before. I've gotten them for free. Oh, hell yeah. I've gotten hundreds of systems for nothing, but I've never got one for $1. Plug and play monitor. Oh yeah, I remember those days. Hey, my mouse works. Let's see what we can do here. Floppy drive is activated. There we go. We got a driver for it. Generic monitor driver. I'm loving it. Well, if this thing works out, you'll be seeing a lot more of this one. Ah, sweet! I got the perfect speakers for it too, those Creative Labs. Let's see what we got here. Now, of course, whoever owned it left all their stuff. Thanks, guys. Actually, kind of appreciate that because I can build off of this copy of Windows, hopefully, and make some changes without having to just blow it away, which is my default. It's even got the Adaptec Direct CD software. Sweet. All right. 4 megs of video RAM. Now, that was a lot back then. Well, for the average person, that was a decent amount of video RAM. Yeah, baby. Boy, is she slow. We can speed her up. You're going to be seeing a lot more of this PC in the next couple videos. I think this will be my next project. That's kind of how I'm breaking up my channel now, by project. You know, I'll start one project and do another, and then, you know, until that gets tired out. You know, I kind of wonder if they ever had an AOL IM account. That's why is it in 16 color mode? It's still starting up. Listen to that hard drive just churn away. Oh man, it's running like shit. Like really running like shit. But then again, it's probably been, you know, hasn't been restarted in 6 years, so let's pop this baby up to 1024. There we go. Oh, now we're cooking. I'm going to change the background just because. I'm going to put my favorite background on there. Circles. I like that background. That's what I used to use back in the day. Now I'm going to move my monitor over a little bit, get that adjusted. There we go. Sweet. Alright. Oh yeah, we got documents. Happy birthday, Jessica. Jessica's Christmas list. I'm going to turn the camera away for a sec, make sure there's nothing sensitive on this Christmas list, like whips and chains, or human organs, or anything crazy. This is what we want. Jessica wants, for Christmas, a phone with a speaker. Who wouldn't want that? The Sims 2. I might have a copy kicking around, maybe I'll send it to her. Earrings, lip gloss, there's got to be a hit clip player here somewhere. Eyeshadow, you know, makeup, gift card to Claire's and or Deb. I think they're both out of business now. CDs like Green Day, American Idiot, Simple Plan, and Kelly Clarkson. This must have been Christmas 2004 or 5. A new purse or just give me a gift card. See above. Oh, Jessica. I wonder if you had that Merry Christmas you asked for. Alright, now let's take a look in their documents. I know how much I'm against all this, but you know what? Who cares? This is old stuff. Happy birthday, Jessica. I'm going to, again, turn the camera away. Here's what we're trying to do. We're trying to establish not only the last point of usage, but, oh, this is just, what the hell? This is nothing like the, I still get comments on this. I did a video of a computer that I found on the yard, just sitting out there for free, of the local chapter of the Freemasons. And everybody, all these conspiracy nuts are like, we want the contents of that drive, you son of a bitch. And I'm like, I'm just letting them, have their fun, because there was nothing on that drive. And you're hearing it here and now. There was nothing useful on that drive. It was really just roll call and people who owe fees. That's it. A lot of people in town that I actually know. Or I've heard of. But that's all it was. That's all it was. Alright, so there's nothing really crazy on this machine. Nothing really at all. It looks like it was just a kid's computer at one point. See, I'm going to see if there's an AOL screen name there. There is! There's a saved password too. No shit. I'm not gonna share that. But the password is saved, so if this had an internet connection, I could actually have some fun, but we're not going to do that. Alright, so we got drive C, half of it's full, no surprises there. What's all this? Mesh, Hero Heart. Let me see who the registered owner is. I'm going to look her up on Facebook. Alright, because I'm a creep, right? But I'm not going to share that with you. Just kidding. I'm probably going to just end up putting that 10 gig drive in this, because why not? It does have a DABTech Direct CD. And what surprises me, there isn't a there's no sign of it ever having a, what am I trying to say here? Either Kazaa or Napster installation. Nothing like that. Whoever this Jessica was, she had no life to speak of, apparently. Emily loves me. Oh, let's see. Oh, look at that. Oh, good for her. Yeah. No schoolwork of any kind. There's nothing in here, of course. Oh, wait, what is all this? Oh, this is chat logs, I think. No, they're empty. Yeah, they're empty. What the hell? An email. Microsoft Outlook. Looks like they were using Outlook, so let's see if there's any email saved. Not exactly. Just the welcome screen. There is no AOL install. Oh wait, let's try Outlook Express. That's probably what they were using. But I am going to toss that 8 gig in there, just or 10 gig, just because I have it. AIM service can't be reached. No shit, Sherlock. This program has performed an illegal operation. Yeah, I'm not surprised there either. Let's try it again. No, it's all fucked up. Okay. Well, Jessica, your secrets are safe. Maybe you actually deleted your stuff. Maybe you didn't. But it always gets me when people throw computers away and they do not make any attempt to remove their private information. It just kind of bothers me. But it happens all the time. People just dump computers thinking, oh, no one's ever going to use this again. So I always go back to that one example where I found an entire dental back office server fully intact, ready to go, complete with patient records. People I actually knew were in that machine. I never told them. But I did actually call the dental office and I explained the situation, and I gave them a quick lecture on data security and proper disposal of IT equipment and HIPAA laws, and they were very grateful. But yeah, I could have actually gotten a job out of that one. No, seriously. Because the gentleman, the dentist, the actual dentist said, you know, I'm not going to hire that guy anymore who was tasked with disposing of the server. And I'm like, that's probably a good idea. Yeah, I would say you're on the right track, dude. But yeah, so there's no AOL, there's just usually AOL will have saved passwords and stuff. Maxis, The Sims. Oh, I actually have a copy of that. Wait, they were able to run The Sims on this pile of crap? No way. Huh. I'll be damned. So, I could have sworn the sticker on the bottom said that this was, in fact, a Pentium 166. Let's take another look. Remember, being an AT class machine, you have to press the power switch manually. There we go. So I was right. At one point, it actually was a Pentium 166. So there's that. It was a 166. Now it's a 200. So somebody did upgrade the RAM and the processor later on in life. And that is a classic example of why these white box PCs were so popular, because you could bring it right back to your local shop or buy the parts yourself and upgrade any component independently of the other. Unless you were doing a complete CPU class upgrade and you needed a better video card, or that's when the expenses run into the hundreds of dollars. But for the most part, new processor, more RAM, that might have been her Christmas gift in 2001. You know, but they never bothered to put a bigger or faster hard drive in it, which kind of shocks the hell out of me. But there you go. There will be more. The next thing I'm going to be doing is installing a 10 gig hard drive. I'm going to be working on that today, actually. I'm going to put a 10 gig, see if I can't get Windows 98 to run properly without any major driver downloads. And we'll see what happens. So thanks again for watching, and talk to you later. So before we close out this video, I just put in that Mac Store 10 gig, and I took out the old Bigfoot. I want to show you something. The Bigfoot, there's a little window in the bottom made out of clear cellophane. Now this is actually obviously it lasted the entire life of the drive, and I am forever grateful that it did. But this little label here is the only thing separating the sealed chamber within and the atmosphere, with all the dust and pollen and all that happy stuff. Now, this adhesive label could easily fall off over the course of time, but it wouldn't take much to penetrate it, thus putting your data at significant risk. But yeah, as you can clearly see, it's not like falling off or anything. So whatever adhesive they used, it held up okay. But this is what those Bigfoot looks like. Big feet look like. They're not a very good drive. Actually, no. There are people that swear by them. I know I'm being unfairly mean and vindictive towards them when they've done nothing wrong to me, other than cause me pain and frustration. But a lot of that was short-lived. So where is my Windows 98 disk? I just had it out too, not too long ago. Why don't we bring it down to good old Windows 95 version C with a USB support? This is what it would have shipped with. Well, yeah, I think it would have actually. So let's do that. That new drive, it's one of those harsher sounding drives. I remember Mac stores being quite noisy, especially the older ones. Alright, is the drive being detected? It should be primary master. Okay, well, let's see. Boot up sequence. Let's see. Enable that. It does support CD-ROM. So I want it as A C CD-ROM C. A CD-ROM C. F10, save and exit. Or not. Okay. There we go. So I've decided, you know what? Let's do Windows 98. She can handle it. She's a big girl. She can handle it. And the drive was detected. By model number, no less. Cool. It doesn't always happen. And I suspect that many of these drivers are going to be built. Of course the floppy failed. There's nothing in it. Oh, the drive could be bad. Oh, we'll deal with that later. Okay. Boot from CD. Here we go. Alright. I gotta run F-disk. Alright. Display. This might be a Mac drive. FAT16. Alright, display, delete 3, delete, boing, delete primary, boing, boing, line label, yes, I'm sure. Okay, display, just confirm. Okay, let's do a creation, create primary. Do a drive integrity check. These drives really do sound horrible. But they did when they were new. I mean, that's nothing wrong with the drive. It's just how they sound. I think Western Digital had a much more pleasant sounding drive in comparison. But yeah, you could always, like when you're in a computer lab, you can always tell which machines have the Mac stores in them because they're like, you know, they just have that nails to a chalkboard sound that became so synonymous with them. Remember the first time I heard one, I'm going to take a look at that drive. Standard CMOS. It's there. Alright, well. Maybe there's something wrong with that drive. I'll have to look into it later on. But yeah, the first time I heard one, I thought there was something wrong with the computer. I'm like, oh my god, there's something wrong. It was a new gateway that had just been purchased at the school that I think I was in like 8th grade. And it was a brand new gateway. And it was like, and I'm like, oh my god, the thing's gonna blow. And then when it did a seek, like a disk seek, it was like clunk clunk. It just had a very harsh sound to it, that's all. That's the point I'm trying to make. I think my computer at home at the time was an IBM PS2 Model 30, 286. I wasn't used to that. So we're going to format the drive and install Windows 98. Well, the sound card driver picked up. Can't reach, though, there it is. So we know the sound card worked. The video card seems to be working in better than 256 color mode. Yep, there we go. So we're pretty much good to go. Let's see if there's any yellow flags. Not one. It picked up every device, including the modem. So that's that almost never happens. That almost never happens. So it's a fully running machine at this point with a fresh build of Windows 98. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to set the resolution up to 800 by 6 as I can. And oh boy, is that nice. Got the refresh rate up. Let's see what we got it up to. 75 hertz. I'll do 72. Hopefully it doesn't blow up. There we go. 72 hertz. Hey, look at how that affects the camera. Neat. Now I'm going to have to change the centering of the display again. Yeah. I kind of wonder if the built-in battery in this display is bad. I might have to replace that. Da-dum-dum. Yeah. Not bad, though. It works pretty good. She's a keeper. Best 99 cents I ever spent. And I got the cover all cleaned up. I'll put that on, and we'll do some, later on we'll do some more software installs and see what she can do. I can't wait to play some nice old copies of Doom, Duke Nukem on an authentic Intel Pentium 200 machine. Thank you for watching. Alright, the $1 PC. We're not done with it yet. I actually picked up a Freecom 905. Which one is this? Yeah, a 905B. And we're going to install that. I figure why not put a network card in it, you know, it won't hurt anybody. I also picked up, just in case I need it, this is a never used, this was installed in a computer that was used for one thing and one thing only a couple months out of the year, like 2 or 3, actually weeks out of the year. So this drive is practically brand new inside, never really been used. And I got a floppy drive from that same computer that has never seen the likes of a floppy disk. So we've got a new floppy, a CD-ROM, and a NIC. I'm going to start by popping in that CD-ROM drive. Now this actually has a fairly nice CD burner. I'm going to leave it in there. Let's not touch that right now. Let's go ahead and just do the floppy drive. So I keep getting all these seek errors. When I tested the drive, it was acting funny. So I didn't do that on camera, but I figure why not just get this taken care of. And we'll just pull that out. Sometimes they go bad, but it's not often. I'm trying desperately not to scratch my brand new desk. So if we do nothing to this machine, it'll be, or if we do anything to it, at a minimum, we'll put a new floppy drive in there. New hard drive, new floppy drive, and it was hooked up right, wasn't it? Ooh, maybe not. Nope, it was. The old drive was a Panasonic. Take a look at it here. Now, just for those of you who aren't that familiar with this kind of stuff, cleaning the drive is not going to fix a seek error on an empty drive. So what it's trying to do is communicate to the drive and say, hey, are you free? Kind of like Mr. Humphries in that popular British comedy, Are You Being Served? So it says, floppy drive, are you free? And then the floppy drive says, fuck you, I'm designed. And then the computer comes back and says, sorry, I didn't quite get that. Try again. And it comes back as a floppy drive failure. So that's what we have here. Alright. That's about the long and short of it. So let's just pop that sucker out of there. Put this one in, and I think we'll be good to go. It's like, yeah, it's kind of like that. Plug in the power. Sorry about the shoddy camera work. What else would you expect from me anyway, right? What am I thinking? Yeah, that's all you're going to get out of me, guys. Slipshod camera work, incomplete footage, screw-ups in the editing. I give you whatever you don't expect or want. But that's why people love my channel, I guess. I don't know. I don't get the appeal, but people watch my stuff, so I keep making videos. It's kind of like advertisement. If you ignore it, it'll go away. How many pop-up ads have you seen lately? See? Pop-up ads were a failure. People got sick of them. They blocked them. Actually, the pop-unders and the pop-overs, I don't see very many of those. Advertising has thankfully gone the other way. Oh, this is the wrong screw. That's the one I didn't want. Let's try this one. Using my mouth to put a screwdriver on a screw. It happens. Let's put that missing screw. And I'm going to dig out the air compressor, I think, once, probably tomorrow. I'm taking tomorrow off work because, well, I have all kinds of vacation time I need to use before the end of the year. And my employer doesn't pay me for unused vacation time, so spring break, I guess, is I'm only taking a day off. So, yeah. Spring break. But yeah, this is actually spring break. That's why things have been kind of slow. And I've been able to work on some big projects for once. Like shutting down servers and remounting my... I've got 6 Mac Mini servers piled on top of one another because we didn't have the foresight to buy a rack, like a rack mount unit for those. So I picked one up, cost me $300, and now they're going to be firmly rack mounted. Can't wait. Alright, let's fire this baby up. See what we got. See if we can finally alleviate that floppy seek error. The previous owner rectified the situation by just disabling the boot up floppy seek. That's one way to solve a problem, I guess. Unfortunately, the color doesn't match the case perfectly. The case is a bit yellowed where the floppy drive is not. So I gotta turn that off. Delete to enter. Oh yes, I've got a new battery for it too. Okay, so to install a coin cell battery, all you've got to do is, if it's not soldered in place, which they never were back in these, well, no, I shouldn't say that. Some of them were actually soldered in place. But a lot of these systems from this time period, they had the foresight to not do that. The older ones, I see a lot of 386 logic boards. Well, I don't see many anymore. But they used to have soldered in batteries. I think I mentioned that earlier in this video, when a lot of those machines, a lot of the early 486s and almost all the 386s that I've ever come across, they had those stupid Varta batteries. And then some of them had these external battery boxes. And those battery boxes had, actually one shining example of that is my Tandy. That originally had a battery box, which had a 4-pin connector on it, or a 3-pin, and 1 pin was missing as a key. And those things, holy shit. Those things are expensive when you can find them. And so what I do with those is I make my own batteries. I just, I figure out what the voltage is, and then I just put whatever combination of batteries is needed. I make my own. Hey, if my grandfather can make his own cigarettes, I can make my own batteries. Why not? I tried to get him to do that because he was spending like $400 a month in cigarettes. I'm like, dude, make your own. Even helped him get a machine to do it. Did he listen? No. Now he's begging me for gas money. Oh well. You can teach a man to fish. And I don't even smoke. I think it's a disgusting habit, but you know, when you're broke because of it, Jesus Christ, you know. Alright, so let's set the date and time, April 28th, 2016. And the time is currently, in military time, because that's how these are set, you know. It is, wait for my MacBook to wake the fuck up, come on. It is 6:21, that is, 1 is 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. It is 18:21. Now Windows is going to take that time and hour, minute, second, that's fine. Windows is going to take that and translate it into a 12-hour time format. Now we've got to make sure that secondary slave there's nothing installed, so we're going to put none. And primary slave is none. And this saves us time on boot up because it doesn't have to seek for something that doesn't even exist. Okay, so halt on all errors. Good, 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 good. Escape, quit. Let's take a look at all the settings. Virus warning. Always disable that because it generally causes problems, I found in my previous excursions. Internal cache, sequence, we want to do, we're going to do actually A, CD-ROM, C. Boot up floppy seek should be enabled. And security option, PS2 mouse function. There's an option for PS2 mouse control, but we don't have a PS2 mouse. And everything else is good. Chipset features. This is where we could overclock the machine in theory, I believe. No, not on this one. Power management. I think there's an ant crawling on my neck. Something. Oh, it's gone. Yeah. See, it's springtime, so I'm finding random creepy crawly things in my house. This is when they start to wake up and reproduce. I don't want any timers on there. Okay. See, now that we have a battery in this machine that works, we can save these settings and expect them to return. Save and exit. Yes. But, you know, these types of BIOS menus were commonplace up until very recently. I have worked on machines that were from the mid-2000s that have had this, almost this exact screen. This exact menu. It's crazy. Alright. See, look at how much time that just saved us. We did our floppy seek, no errors, no halting, no problem. There we go. Good. Oh, I still have that. I'd take that out. Boot from hard drive. So we fixed our floppy drive. We've got a spare CD-ROM drive. Now if I can find some nice CD burning software, I'm going to get it. It's had a Daptec Easy CD on it, but I don't have a copy. I'm going to have to go searching for it. I think I can find it though. My first computer that actually had the ability to burn discs was about, well, it was a Pentium 133. and it was slow and it sucked. It didn't have enough memory, but it did the job. I got like a 50% success rate, and it looks like, oh yeah, look at this. It's asking me for my password. Do you know what that means? It means it found the Ethernet interface. Let's see if it searches. Let's see if it has a driver at all. I have. Let's see. I put the Windows 98 folder here, so it should be able to find that Win 98, or it might be in here. NetLAN. Manage IBM. What is that? A 3Com? I don't see 3Com. Let's do a disk search. Maybe there's another way you can find it. Let's do a CD-ROM. Next. No. I'm gonna have to download the driver for that. I know it's out there, so like aliens, it's out there. Well, that concludes this video. This time I mean it. I promise that we're done. And the next time you see this computer, it'll be running Doom, Duke Nukem, or something else. Oh yeah, it'll even run my old natively run. I should clarify. It'll natively run my my copy of Driver. Ooh, that'll be cool. I love that game. Oh, this is going to be awesome. I've got my daily driver here. I've got my Ultimate Mac, which is eventually going to be sporting 1011. I'm working on it. I got to spend some money though. I got to get, you know, more processors, graphics cards. I got to replace my graphics cards. I've got to replace my RAM. Oh yeah, it's going to happen though. It's going to cost me a fucking fortune, but I'm going to do it just for you. And I got to clean this mess up, put this back together. I got to clean it out. Oh, I got my day off tomorrow is all planned out. I got to clean the house, and I'm going to shut up now.